as the 5 lights are counting down on the wet racing race at Dragon Child. The 5 lights are out and away we go. Awesome and P1, who's just moved on to P2 in his Genesis here, due to the other Genesis on track as well. Is it 3-car wide already into 2 on it? Almost was, as that's Davies trying to force his way. Might even try and make a switch back on Gash here, who's in the Toyota Supra side by side. The Genesis, the Holden and the Toyota Supra. The Holden is up on the inside, but the Toyotas are out the outside now, switching up on to the inside now. Cash trying his hardest just to gain P3 here, but he can't. That's Awesome trying to gain on Midnight as well. Mix is 2-car wide with Cash. That's the Toyota Supra going down the grid. That's now the Volvo Ford overtaking the Toyota Supra, as now we see the Suzuki Swift trying to overtake Eugene, but that's Snaggle in the Audi TT trying to make a move around the outside on the Suzuki Swift. That's Zoidberg on the curb a bit too much, as J Moore also in the Audi TT, but he's in the Red Bull Audi TT in P10 as he went quite wide on the exit. Josh right behind Zoidberg in the Suzuki Swift. They can barely even see it, and it does not help in no lights on this sector of the track at all, as these headlights barely even work with all of the spray that's coming off all these 11 cars from the whole grid. That's the Citroen, who's in last of Arthur Writers here, with J Moore behind the sliding Ford of Josh on the Audi TT. Try gain a position into the second final corner, or maybe even the final corner, as we go on board in the cockpit view with Moore trying to gain as much time with the grip as he is on the intermediate tyres, as he's right behind Josh, but on the exit, can he try get his car into the slipstream as much as possible? Midnight's in P1, setting the 202.886 as he's flying 2 seconds ahead of Awesome, who moved down a few places, as it's almost 2-car wide in the background between Davis and Mitch here. Mitch has a really good first lap up into P3 here, with Davis in the Holden trying to battle with the Toyota Supra right behind him, with Snaggle in the Audi TT also following behind the Toyota Supra. The Toyota Supra goes off the track a tiny bit, leaving that battle. Now as he's at the Ford of Josh, sliding all over the place. Yes, it is. There's almost a tiny bit of contact between Arthur and Josh there, as that is now almost 2-car wide between Pack and Snaggle. The Audi TT has overtaken the Toyota Supra, but the Toyota might even have another chance in the traction zone on this track, even though it is really wet with no traction zones, because there is no traction anyways, as we see cars sliding all over the place. The perfect example of Josh on the exit of turn 3 was sliding all over the place. That's why he is currently in P10, 3 seconds behind J Moore here, who is in P9, with the Suzuki Swift handling the wet really well, as the track is now being lit up by the sun, as the sun is coming up. After 2 laps, it's lap 2 out of 21. That is cashing the Toyota Supra under pressure. It's not raining anymore, but the spray from the rain is really heavy, as we see the Toyota Supra sliding out of action almost, running a tiny bit wide. Is it a battle for P1? No, it's not. It is a battle for P2 though, between Mitch and Awesome. Can Awesome try keep the Ford behind him, as that's Snaggle and the Audi TT, who's got the fastest lap and is up on the inside of Holden, and that's the Holden who's trying to make a switch back. There's almost contact, there is contact, and that's Snaggle saving the Audi TT really nicely with the Holden right behind 210s, and now Zoidberg's trying to make a move around the up on the insides. Sorry, but he gets a bit too much curb, launches his car. He's done it once again, and Cash is right behind him, and that's Eugene sliding. He's not hit the wall. Yes, he has hit the wall, and that's Josh. He's rivaling the championship, going past on Arthur, who was in last. He's now P10, as that's now the Suzuki Swift trying to chuck it up on the inside of the Holden still. He's been trying to cook it up on the inside for 3 corners straight now, which is quite impressive for the HK Suzuki Swift. As we see, Midnight has been reeled in by the bottle of Ford here, going really wide, sliding. He's walking short, Holden across the track. As we see Awesome under time bit of pressure from the Audi TT, but Awesome is on the better tyres as the track is starting to dry up. Let's go on board view with Nagel, who's trying to make a move for P3, as Mitch has made a move for P1 with his teammate down in P9. People are already coming into the pits. Cash is into the pits. Josh is also into the pits. Don't know what happened then. As that's now a 3, maybe even a 4-car battle just for P3 here. As we see Davis trying to make a move on Zoidberg, but Zoidberg defends in the Suzuki Swift with Snaggle in the Audi TT. The 2 unusual cars to even be in racing are battling for P4. Once again, they've had it at the previous layout of Dragon Trial for 5 laps, but here we are, Zoidberg setting the fastest sector 1, and it's 2-car line between the 2 drivers, Zoidberg and Snaggle. Snaggle being forced around the outside as Zoidberg trucks his Suzuki up on the inside, but he's trying to come back in Snaggle, and is forced around the outside once again for another corner, but can he try and make a switch lap for P4? No, he can't, but he can. Keeping the slipstream of Zoidberg, as that's Davis also sliding into the slipstream of Snaggle here for P5. As Mitch is in P1, setting the fastest sector 3, I think it is, or 2, by 1.4 seconds, with Midnight, who were leading for 3 laps, who is now in P2. Awesome in P3 in the slipstream of Midnight, the previous leader Zoidberg in the slipstream of the Genesis of Awesome here, with the number 97 and the number 4 right behind him. What can Zoidberg try do on the main straight? There is almost a tiny bit of contact between these 2. Awesome is coming into the pit. Midnight is now being reeled in by the Suzuki Swift, and that's Zoidberg with the fastest lap. What a lap time, 1:47.885 from Zoidberg in the HKS Suzuki Swift. As it's 2-car wide between Cash and Josh now. Can the Ford try overtake the Toyota Supra? Yes, he can. But can Cash even try and make a switchback? No, he can't, as they are both on the slick tyres, finding the dry racing line, and he's just about able to make that overtake and not go off onto the wet patch of the circuit, as it's Midnight and Snaggle. As it's now Midnight and Snaggle battling. As we see Awesome trying to make a move on Eugene as well, as that's the bottle of Ford. He's really using up the curve there, with Midnight battling away with the Audi TT, with Snaggle driving. As we see, is that Zoidberg in first? Yes, it is. That Suzuki Swift is rapid on Dragon Trial this morning, as we see Mitch in the bottle of Ford on number 21 trying to battle away at the same time here, as we see Zoidberg not going into the pits, but we see more going off wide in the background in the Audi TT, as that's Snaggle who has passed Midnight for P3 here. Midnight might be trying to make another move on Snaggle, as that's the Suzuki going really wide on the exit of turn 1 here. Can can Josh try keep Cash behind as well? It is a battle for P8. Eugene into pits. He's not even reached his pit crew yet. Now he has, as it is the two-car battle for P8. As we see, Awesome also being reeled in by D2 right behind him now, as it's only 7/10 gap. Might become less as the racing softs are about the exact same. I think they pitted on 2 different laps, but they are on the same tyre weight. Josh set the fastest set to 1 here. What can Cash try do? Will he try chuck it up in the inside? No, they won't, but those flames out the Ford will try get closer to the Genesis in front of him, as it's a massive battle. It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-car battle for P1 here, as it's quite entertaining. There's almost contact between Midnight and Moore. Moore chucks it up on the inside of the Audi TT. They might have actually been in contact, but Midnight is off the track almost, going on to the wetness of the circuit with his worn out tyres. As he needs to pit this lap probably, as he does not want to have any punctures. Zoidberg now going really wide on those intermediates in his Suzuki Swift, as he doesn't come into the pits, but Jay Moore does in his Audi TT, and so does Midnight. As we see Josh spinning around on the exit of the final corner, as it's now a 2-car battle for P4, with Cash setting the fastest lap, Zoidberg leading in P1, Mitch and Snaggle battling for P2 here. Can the Audi TT try take the Bottle Ford, as that is the Ford trying to go defensive on the exit, but Snaggle might even appear 2-car wide here. No, he won't, as that is the Ford having enough speed, but this is quite close between Snaggle and Mitch. The battle for P2, as Josh is also behind Moore now after his tiny spin with Awesome. Never mind. With the Midnight behind by 2.3 seconds. As Zoidberg has a comfortable lead by 1.5 seconds on the P2 lads and P3 and everyone. But as we see Cash now trying to make a move on Awesome for P4 here, can the Toyota Supra try make that move into the second to final corner, or even final corner, as they both reach 200 k's an hour, coming up to the hard braking zone, as that's the Toyota Supra forcing his way around the outside, and he's made a wonderful move for P4, as that is P2 and 3 hitting in now. Snaggle and Mitch coming off the wet tyres, with Zoidberg leading in P1 on the intermediate tyres, as he has to find the wet patches of the circuit and try stop his tyres from overheating, as Josh is right behind Moore in P5, as we see the Red Bull Audi TT trying to gain a tiny bit of time on the Bottle Ford, who is about to try and make a switch back on Moore. No, he won't, as he's revving out third gear. He's setting the fastest set to 1. He's trying his absolute hardest. Will he even pull out? No, he won't. He'll have a tiny bit of contact with the bump draft in there, close to the entry of the corner. I think it was on the entry of the corner. There was no contact, as it's been confirmed from Josh and Moore. My screen, there was almost. As it's a 3-car battle for P1 once again, with Awesome in P3, Cash in P2. That I might even be trying to make a move on Zoidberg, as Zoidberg in the Suzuki Swift with his rear wing that is published shit, but he's running wide on the mid corner, and there was definitely a time bit contact between Taka and Zoidberg, as that's now with Suzuki Swift and Zoidberg coming into the pits with the Audi TT, who has lost 3 seconds on John in 2 sectors that I'll comment to. And now we've got Davis behind Mick. Mick is the teammate of Josh for this championship, as that's the Holden trucking it up on the inside of the Ford, and that's a Porsche into the wall. Wow. As we see Midnight behind him by under second now. As that Porsche has been beat up throughout this race, as we've seen him just smash it into the wall, not being able to turn as he hit a wet patch on the track, as the track is completely dry on the racing line, but anywhere else it's not dry whatsoever, as we are starting to see the whole track dry up quite faster, as the sun is coming up still. The helicopter waiting for more people to come through, and now the helicopter's moving after Arthur in P11 still, has just went under it. Now the helicopter is about a come, but that is Cash off the circuit and also in P1 now. As Midnight's a time bit twitchy, and that's Arthur who's just hit the wall and caused us yellow flag in sector 3. Well, 2/3, as he is in between. As it's not the best race for Arthur at all, as we see now Midnight trying to gain some time on Eugene. 1 lap ago, Eugene was in the walls, and there's even marks on where his tyres was in the grass. So that's Zoidberg in P8 not sliding but launching his Swift across the circuit there to try to get the optimum racing line, as he's setting his personal best of this race. Well, personal best sector, sorry, with Mick in the bottle Ford just 2 seconds ahead, as he was off the track for a tiny bit there, as he's behind Davis in the Holden. The Holden shooting frames as well, with the Audi TT only 1.7 seconds ahead. Can Snaggle try again much time on these what ahead, as Josh is in P3 in the points here. This is quite entertaining, as Awesome went from last to third. No, he went from first. As Cash is in P2 still. As that's Davis into the wall on the final exit of this circuit, as he's now being overtaken by everyone apart from Arthur, as Arthur is trying to find the grip and where not to crash on this circuit, as he is 34 seconds behind Davis, who has just crashed into the final barriers that was available to crash into Midnight, trying to gain time on these two, while Zoidberg is just ahead of Eugene. Let's go broadcast view with Zoidberg, as that's Zoidberg who's wide on the exit now. Eugene might even be trying to make a switch back, as that's Zoidberg on the really wet curve that is not available to use. It is 2-car wide, Eugene and Zoidberg, the Suzuki Swift against Porsche. Can the GT4 come and try overtake the HK Suzuki Swift? That's Zoidberg trying to late brake, but that's Zoidberg making a switch back on the Porsche, as it's 2-car wide between Eugene and Zoidberg. Zoidberg has made the move once again back into P7 in the HK Suzuki Swift, and Mitch is in P6, but Eugene is trying to gain as much time as possible. Zoidberg using the wide line, which has not helped him, as he is now in the gravel in the Suzuki Swift. as that's now Midnight trying to get in as much time as possible on Eugene in the Silvaro with a kind of damage on his rear as his paint job is not looking the best anymore in the Porsche. As is it a battle up ahead? Yes, it is. There was a car running wide as well, that was more, as that's Awesome under pressure from Cash. Can Awesome try keep Cash behind for as long as possible? It's lap 12 out of 21. As now we see Cash in the Toyota Supra trying to apply the pressure onto the Genesis with the Ford of Josh trying to catch up as well to the battle of P1, sorry. Don't know where I got battle for P2 from, as Cash is in P2 trying to gain a place up into P1 as we see the Toyota Supra in the slipstream, but the Ford is also in the slipstream of the Toyota Supra, as we see the Genesis breaking a lot wider line from Awesome, but Cash tries to bring it in nice and tight so he can try to get a better exit nice and wide where the traction is, so he can try and make an overtake on Awesome for P1, but Awesome is on the wet curb as we see more users that curb, as he's setting the fastest sector 2 on this circuit so far, as we see this 3-car battle might even become a 4-car battle. Yeah, but the 3-car battle might even become a 4-car battle at the end of this lap, as we have Josh almost smashing into the back of Cash. That took some Cash from Cash, as that's Cash off the circuit now, and Josh into P2, and more might even be into the battle, as that's Cash being overtaken, and that's more with the fastest lap of 1:39.745, as that's now Josh in the Ford trying to close that gap down as much as possible. He's even on the wet part of the circuit, kind of, as I think Awesome was on the more wet part of the circuit, as there's a tiny bit of contact, and that's more and Awesome having contact, and that's more almost spinning out, but he saves the Audi TT from spinning. What a save. As Josh is now leading by 1.2 seconds here, but Awesome is trying to gain, and that braking zone has let him lose a tiny bit of time. Actually, he's not gained, but he is gaining on the exit, as Cash is in P3 still with... Yep. Nope. Now we see J Moore. That was quite close between J Moore and Cash here. Can the Toyota Supra try keep the Audi TT behind us? That's J Moore running himself off the track, as it's almost too wide between the British driver and the American driver. What can Cash try to do around the outside? He's kept P3 for now, as that's the Audi TT trying to gain some time still and trying to make a switch back. Josh going right up to the pit lane wall. He's at a battle as well in the back, as Zoidberg goes from glory to not very glorious as he leaves the race. As Mitch is also having a battle for P7, P6 with Eugene, who is in P7. That's what I meant to say, as it is 200 kilometers an hour on the end of the main straight here, with these two just about not having contact into the entry, but the amount of contact here depends where Mitch places his Ford, and there is no contact, but that is Eugene flying his car. Did not know Porsche had some airline business here, but apparently it's the Audi TTS Nagel. But you just need to worry about Awesome, who's right behind you, trying to attack Josh right now, as we go broadcast view with Josh, who is in the Ford with the bottle or livery. What can Awesome try to do into the final few corners? He can try late break around the outside. That's what he can try do. Will he even try make a switchback? Let's go on board with him as Josh might even make it 2 car wide between these two, but that's J-Ball in the mirrors of Awesome as well, and hit the rear view mirror on his back, on his dashboard. Might even try make it 3 car wide, or might even try a tiny bump draft. No, he won't, but he's 2 car wide, and it's Awesome in P1 for now. Josh might even make it 2 car wide with J Moore as well, as that's Moore in the Audi TT trying to make a move on Josh in the Ford, but the Ford is trying to gain that P1 once again. He might try make a switch back on the exit, but that is a Genesis a bit too fast for the Ford on the exit, and that's more in the slipstream of Josh, and that's Josh trying to make a move. He's forcing his way around the outside once again. Will he try late break? The track is all dry. No, never mind, I take it back as Josh finds the wet patch on the circuit and almost goes head on into the barrier. But he is 2 car wide, and will it be 3 car wide? Will the Audi TT try force his way through? No, he won't, but there was almost a tiny bit of contact between Awesome and Moore here, as it is a 3 car battle, but it might even become a 5 car battle anytime soon if these three keep on having a tiny bit of contact, which is helping Snaggle right behind, and Catch is also in the slipstream, and it is a 5 car battle just for P1 once again. What a battle! It is 2 car wide, it might be 3 car wide, and it is 3 car wide coming into the tunnel, and out the tunnel. It's 3 car wide. That's the Audi TT into first place, and that's Awesome. Took it up to the inside of the Ford, but the Ford is being forced around the outside. Can he try and make a move? No, he can't. Awesome is into P2, but Snaggle is trying to make a move for P3 here. I'm losing my breath as the voice cracking as well. There is no more breath for the commentator, but it is 2 car wide into turn 1, as that's Snaggle in P3. As Snaggle in P3 with Cash in P5, and that's J Moore in the Audi TT showing what the Audi TT can do. The normal 2 car daily driver is winning this race, and it's also in P3. I need a tiny drink of water as the commentator were voice cracking from no breath there. Fucking hell. As that's now Awesome under pressure from Snaggle, but Snaggle might even try and make a switch back from the exit in the Audi TT, as there is only 2 Audi TTs on the circuit. Josh is right behind Snaggle. The tiny bit sideways from Snaggle there as he just about saves it. Awesome in P2, still more on lap 16 out of 21. He's in P1 by 1.2 seconds, as it's now a 3 car battle just for P2. As it might even be 2 car wide between Awesome and Snaggle. Will it be a 3 car wide battle once again? It might be 3 car wide, no, it'll just be 2 car wide, and there is contact between Snaggle and Awesome, and there's even more contact between Cash and Snaggle, as Snaggle goes off the podium. Yeah, he has about 2 seconds. Now. Now we see Awesome trying to apply the pressure on Josh, as Josh just comes onto the radio to his race engineer saying he's sweating as fuck, he's battling this hard, he can barely keep his concentration, as we see Awesome chucking it around the outside in the Genesis. But that might even be Snaggle making a move, as it is 2 car wide. And that's Snaggle side by side and back onto the podium in the Audi TT. With Cash just watching this battle behind for P2. Almost contact between Josh and Snaggle. I've had to give no penalties, which I am quite proud of, as last race with the Group 3 cars, I had to give a penalty to Josh and Aiden, as Aiden crashed into Midnight, who is currently in P7. Aiden is not in this race, but Josh also got a 3-second penalty for hitting Zoidberg, I think. But that is the Audi TT trying it around the outside of the Ford, but the Genesis might even try and make a move. As we see now, Awesome in the slipstream of the Audi TT, but it is 2 car wide between Josh and Snaggle over the line. They get the exact same time over the line, and that's Josh moving down to P3, but he might even try and make a switch back on the exit. No, you won't. Josh, no horning, please. I will give you a 3-second penalty if you do use that horn one more time. So, no more horning. Ah, Midnight, you have no tyre. No idea where that went. I think the tyre's somewhere turn 8. Fuck knows. But still in P2. So it's the 2 Audi TTs in P1 and 2, and it is 2 car wide between Awesome and Josh. As Awesome is forcing his way around the outside. Awesome is on the wet patch of the curb, and that's him up the inside. Still, he's sending it in the Genesis. He's trying not to go off the track like he did a time bit just then, but Josh launching his Ford almost into the rear of Awesome here, as Awesome is under pressure trying to keep his rear view mirror nice and clean with the back end of his car still on, with Josh almost taking that back end of the Genesis off. As it is 2 car wide, might even be 3 car wide, never mind. That's Cash into the pits. That's Jay Moore into the pits, the race leader into the pits, and there is now a new race leader, and he is leading by 1 second between these two, as it's lap 19 out of 21. Here comes Awesome trying to gain on the Ford here, as that's Josh flashing, as that is allowed, but horning, Josh, is not allowed, so never horn ever again. I think that's one of the cars that I forgot to take out the horn. As it's raining once again. It is becoming night time, I think, as well. Josh is sliding all over the place. Everyone is wanting to come into the pits. I think that's Davis, who is into the pits as well. Has he even put on the correct tyres? Yes, he has. He's put on racing wet. Heavy wet. As now we see the top 3 battling in the rain with no grip whatsoever. Awesome making a move for P2. As we see the Audi TT off the track, the dominant Audi's 2 car wide with Awesome. Will it be 3 car wide with the Ford as well? That's Snaggle getting a 2-second penalty for track limits. That is absurd. That should take that away. As Awesome is 2 car wide with the Audi TT, as it is 2 car wide coming into the final 2 corners. They have to brake early, but that's Snaggle even being switched back by Awesome as he's going wide on the exit, midway through corner by the way, but exit, as that's Awesome trying to force Snaggle to not be able to come into the pits, as Moore is on the wet side as he comes into P1 now of the race. By the way, Snaggle, just because Snaggle, you have no 2-second penalty because my bro is killing. Oh. as the as the track was just about dried up, and now it's back to heavy. What, in front of the car? What? Who? More? No, more's a wet. As we see the Audi TT trying to gain a position for P3 here. As this race is really chaotic, as we see the two intermediate drivers, P2 and 3, as we see the Toyota Supra almost sliding into the wall there. Josh, I heard that horn. Snaggle! No. You came back onto the racing line after you served your penalty. It is a half a second penalty first. Okay, Josh, it is a 2-second penalty for you horning, and Snaggle, it's a 1-second penalty for leaving. Okay, both of you have 2-second penalties then. Is that better then? Both of you have 2-second penalties. You for horning, Josh, and Diaz 1 for leaving. Yeah, you will after the amount of times you fucking on. Bloody hell. I will lose my life. Is Josh making a move? Never mind. Nice battling from everyone, by the way, so. Yeah. Oh yeah, shit, it is the final lap, and that's more coming around the final corner now, and more in the Red Bull Audi TT. What are you guys trying to do? Make it 3-car wide. Make it 4-car wide. Awesome, slow down. As it might even be 3-car wide along. It's 2-car wide, and that's awesome. That's awesome in P2, Catherine P3, Josh and P4, Snaggle P5. Mitch is P6, Midnight P7, Davis P8, and Arthur in P9.